What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, back from Italy, where we're still recording, still cranking the episodes. Of course, comfortably back ahead of Monday Night Football. I am recording this as the 4 o'clock games are winding down. An interesting day in many ways across the NFL. Everyone won in the AFC East, even though I would say we got less than stellar efforts from Buffalo and Miami. But look, they found ways to pull out games where I don't think they looked particularly strong. It would have been nice for one of them to get a loss, but both of them and the Patriots get a win. Bengals looked rough. Browns look exceptionally rough. And the Raiders look exceptionally rough. So if Devontae Adams, you're getting tired of dealing with that offense already, trade deadline would be nice. Anyway, Sunday Coffee, like I said, is retired. We now are going to do 12 packs every week, so predictions for the Jets games. Depending on when the kickoff is, will be when it runs. With Monday Night Football, we're going to run this Sunday night. You'll still get another guys tomorrow for some pregame. You'll get postgame reaction immediately after the game from myself. And then Connor and I will have an episode on the feed Tuesday and War Room on Wednesday. We'll be loaded up every single day. We've been waiting for what feels like years for this game to get here, and even waiting throughout Thursday, Friday, all the games today without the Jets has only made that wait feel that much longer. To get, knock on wood, a full Aaron Rodgers game, to see this whole thing put together. All the young talent with the quarterback, with the additions they made this offseason. Everything is here. All the pieces are in place, except, of course, Hassan Reddick. But at this point, there's not really anything left to say about it. And expecting him to show up feels naive, and maybe it will happen. Maybe it happens Tuesday of this week, but for right now, not going to be a factor in the Niners game. The Niners did get everything done they needed to with Ayuk, who's expected to play with a limited workload. Trent Williams, who will be a full go. McCaffrey, definitely one to watch. Questionable, is expected to play. There's been some rumblings. He's not fully been himself at practice. He's, one of the best players in the NFL, though. So if he's going to be out there, you're going to expect him to be Christian McCaffrey and make the kind of impact that he usually does. So the Jets are basically getting the Niners not at full strength, but any thought that they weren't going to have any of those three out there, that's not going to be the case. But the Jets, the Reddick situation, I'll call it at this point, aside, are at full strength. Mike Williams is expected to start. I'm going to guess he plays like 20 to 30 snaps, but let's see. Among the predictions, I'll start with that. I think Mike Williams will start. I think he'll play about 25 to 28 snaps. I think he'll get plenty of Lazard on the outside. I think Xavier Gipson is going to be heavily involved. I would not be surprised if Malachi Corley was a healthy scratch in this game. I don't think his role is going to increase until a little later in the year. My guess is Izzy is probably also inactive as the fourth running back. Watts, I could see being inactive on the defensive line. Wes Schweitzer, as we just heard, got moved to the short-term IR, so they'll make another corresponding roster move to balance that out on the offensive line. That could just be something like Jake Hansen being called up for extra depth. Xavier Newman will be the top backup on the interior. Hopefully that's not something we have to see in the course of this game. But I don't think you're going to see anything like shocking in the healthy scratches. Corley will be the biggest name. And that's an if. There's still a chance he's active and they have a small package in place for him. I don't expect him, from what we've seen over the summer, to be heavily involved with the offense. I think when Williams is not out there, the other receivers who will be the most involved will be Lazard, will be Xavier Gipson. I also think Conklin, Brees, Braylon Allen are going to be very involved in the passing game. When I was putting together my official underdog higher lower for this week, the one that I settled on, and I'll share this in the copy as well, Brees Hall higher than 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. So basically an anytime Brees touchdown. Aaron Rodgers higher than a 65.2 completion percentage. I think I could see Rodgers throwing like 28 to 31 times in this game, somewhere in the 200s. I think he'll have a high completion percentage. Obviously, that's why I'm going with this. I'm not necessarily expecting him to throw for like 370 yards. I think the Jets are going to lean very heavily on Brees Hall, on Brees Hall, on Braylon Allen, in being that kind of game plan. That's going to be a little more run heavy and not necessarily just dropping Rodgers back a million times. Doesn't mean I don't think he's going to complete 70, 72% of his passes. Garrett Wilson, higher than 5.5 receptions. That's going to feel like one to hit every week until we're shown a reason not to. I think Garrett's going to get 8, 10, 11 targets a week every single week, especially while Mike Williams is getting up to speed. So anytime you could grab Brees getting involved as a touchdown scorer, his receptions over, always also worth looking at. But Garrett, he feels like he's going to be 6 to 9 catches every single week. I'd be surprised if he's anything less than that. A couple other ones I like. I think you get good value at Conklin having at least 25 yards. I think he's going to be 3-4 catches every week, if not a touch more. And usually you get down the seam for like 15 to 18 yard reception a game. So I always feel good with Conklin in that like 4 catches, 44 yard type range. So that's another one I would keep an eye on. Wilson's receiving yards, I think I've seen a few out there at like 69.5. I think he'll be in the 70s or 80s. So when I'm looking for Jets offensive output in this game, roughly what I'm expecting, I'm looking for Rodgers like 23 or 30 for like 241 yards. Let's call it 2 touchdowns and a turnover. He'll be working some of the rust off. I think Brees will have about 110, 115 total yards, get in the end zone once. I think that's probably it from an offensive output perspective in terms of getting in the end zone. Those are the only guys I'm predicting are going to score. I think the Jets are ultimately going to cover this game. I'm not going to pick them to win it as much as I would like to. I'm going to say that the Jets are going to have 2 offensive touchdowns. One's going to be Rodgers throwing to Wilson. The other will be Rodgers throwing to Brees on a short touchdown pass. They'll kick a field goal. They'll lose, let's call it 20-17, because I like the under in this game, seeing it at 43.5. So I actually, more so than anything, if I had to pick one thing associated with this one, it would be the under. I just think early in the year, 2 really good defenses. Rodgers kind of working off the rust. The Niners working back. Trent Williams and Ayuk. I think under 43.5 feels safe to me. So 20-17 and 23-20 like type game is feeling about right to me. Would not be shocked if the Jets win this game. I think this is going to be a close game at the half. I think it's going to be a close game into the fourth quarter. I think the line being at 3.5 is reasonable. The Niners were in the Super Bowl last year. I think if the Jets are going toe-to-toe with them and are into this one late, it's a really good sign. And of course, you want them to win. You want to see them make those plays late. You want to see this coaching staff go toe-to-toe with a really good coaching staff that's consistently in the Super Bowl with Kyle Shanahan. So I'm settling with what I've been saying for a long time, which is the Jets are going to cover the 3.5 and the under will hit in this game. That gun to my head, I would say the Niners win a really close one. Would not be shocked at all if the Jets found a way to win a close one. So that's where I'm going with my my week 1 pick. I think defensively, I'm going to get a very nice Quinnen Williams game. I think you'll see a little bit of Sauce shadowing Ayuk, but not the entire game, especially because we don't know what his workload is going to be like. But I think situationally, you'll see that on certain third downs and red zone situations. I think McCaffrey will play. I think he'll be like 85% of himself. And look, the Niners will do what they'll do. They'll manufacture a couple big plays. I think special teams will be roughly played to a draw. And it's going to look like 2 teams who are of a very similar talent level. And the Niners just have a slight edge from being in that many more big games recently. But I think most Jet fans leave saying, all right, Rodgers looks good. He looks like Rodgers. We were right there. And look, maybe he is able to make that one play late because now the Jets have a guy like him who can do that, where you have that confidence level. Can he make that big throw to Garrett Wilson late that pushes the Jets over the top? And I think regardless of this game tilting 3 points to the Niners or 3 points to the Jets, we're going to feel very good about them going into week 2 against the Titans and even week 3 against the Pats. And again, the Pats were game today against a Bengals team who I don't think is going to be very good this year and is dealing with a lot of crap right now. I think the Jets are going to be up for this one. I just think we're looking at 17-17 late, and who's going to make that one play? I think we're looking at like 10-10 at halftime. Again, a lot of defense, a lot of running, a lot of short passing. I think the Jets have, 3-4 sacks in this game. I think the Niners have 3-4 sacks in this game. It's two really, really talented defenses. It's two coaching staffs who know each other really well. And I just think that lends itself to a close and at times a little bit of an ugly game. And we get through this first one and we get into a scenario where the Jets are pretty consistently favorites over the next few weeks. And if they could win this game, man, they have a chance to have a really nice, fast start here with how their schedule is laid out. And nothing I saw today changed. Again, week one, you have to always take week one with a grain of salt. And I will say that in either direction. The Jets could come out and win 27-7 tomorrow. Everything goes right. Fireworks everywhere. It does not mean they're going 15-2 and winning the Super Bowl, although we're all going to feel that way. Or they can come out and lose 27-7 and it just looks ugly and the Niners are just more ready for the moment. It doesn't mean the Jets are going 7-10. They can turn around and beat the Titans, Pats, Broncos, the Vikings, and be 4-1 just like that. It's week one. You got to try not to overreact to certain things unless you're Devontae Adams. React accordingly to that offense and get the hell out of there. So that's it, man. It's been a long time coming for this game. It's been a long time. I am nervous, anxious, excited, dying to pace around my place, watch this game, and talk about it with everyone after. It's a really unique opportunity and moment that the Jets have been building towards. If they could go out and win this as an underdog on the road against the team who's been the best team in the NFC consistently, really, over the last few years. It's been the Niners conference, and they've been within a hair of winning a couple of Super Bowls. So you want to talk about a statement win early in the season? It's winning as a 3.5-point underdog on the road. And I think the Jets are capable of doing it. I think it's going to be close. I think they're going to be right there at the end. And as I said, no fancy, creative, crazy things from a betting perspective. Count on Garrett Wilson to have 6 to 8 catches, 70 to 90 receiving yards. Count on Brees to have, I would say, somewhere between 90 and 120 total offensive yards and be the Jet most likely to get into the end zone. Feel like Rodgers, this isn't the game he throws for 300. I think he's somewhere in the mid-2s. I think he's efficient. Wouldn't be shocking if he had a turnover at some point, considering some of the rust from playing in a real game. I think the Jets defense will play well. I think Conklin still is undervalued in most props that I see, and we'll see if that gets adjusted. I think Braylon Allen will be involved, and if you could grab him at like more than 15 or 20 rushing yards, I would do that. Beyond that, try to keep your sanity during the day tomorrow and try to make it until kickoff. We will. I'm excited. So thank everyone for listening. New episode on the feed during the day tomorrow. New episode on the feed immediately after the game. New episode on the feed maybe like 12 hours after the game. There'll be a lot. So thank you. We'll talk to you soon.